I'd like now to recognize my friend from California, Mr. Desaulnier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So many thoughts come to mind listening to this. George Santayana, a Harvard professor, his famous quote, for those of us who forget history, we're condemned to repeat it. We keep doing this in this country. My perspective is this country is based on diversity and also on merit. But I'm reminded of work by a Princeton professor, I think it was James Bloodworthy, wrote The Myth of Meritocracy, and about how the founders of this country didn't want to replicate the British system of caste, but they did like a higher education system. And that we inherited that, and they built that into it. The founders all believed in higher education, the Virginians and the Northerners. But his work is, as you can imagine by the title, is very connected to higher education. There's a myth that people who get there based on merit. And yes, there's a principle to that, but I think we delude ourselves when we think, those of us who are fortunate enough to go to college, that there isn't a reality for many Americans that not because of their merit, but because of their background, they cannot get into it. There's another book, a very steep study into who gets into Harvard and Harvard Law School and Harvard Business School called The Chosen. And clearly, 60 to 70%, 80% of the people who are chosen are based on various forms of legacy. I don't think George W. Bush would have accepted the MBA program or Yale undergraduate if it weren't for his father and his grandfather. And to Santayana's observation, for those people who think that that was all merit. Now, having said that, what America attempts to do is very hard to do. We're the largest attempt in human existence of trying to mold people from very divergent cultures and experiences into one country, which leads to our national model, e pluribus unum, out of many one. And to me, that accepts diversity, embraces it, and inclusivity and equity. I don't understand why anyone wouldn't be for that. The experiences we all bring, when they're respected and honored, create this wonderful gestalt, when it works, of us all being together and out of many, one voice. I'm reminded of my dear, dear, profoundly impactful deceased Irish Catholic Boston mother, who used to tell us about her parents' generation seeing signs in the windows, job available, Irish need not apply. Ms. Mujib, I see that you and I went to the same undergraduate Jesuit college in Worcester, Massachusetts. Yes, Holy Cross. Clarence Thomas was a senior when I was a freshman, so a lot of diversity. But my mom used to tell us these stories about how the anti-Irish, Italian, Eastern European is just another history repeating itself. And when she got older and she had moved to San Francisco, where I had moved to, and I'd go take care of her, and she would complain about her caregivers, God bless her, and she didn't like the way they looked or where they came from. And I'd say, Mom, you know, this sounds a lot like the stories you used to tell about Irish need not apply. And I say that anecdotally as my own life experience. It's one that when Americans talk about this honestly, they embrace it, and there's a certain joy to that. And to your comment, be honest about your background, I think it's wonderful, your background. I mean, having gone to Holy Cross when there weren't many people who weren't Irish Catholics going there. So I say that just as an observation, and then Mr. Harper, I think we all want the one thing, but we approach it from different biases and perspectives. And as you said, Mr. Harper, another great book, Bias, by a Stanford professor, just talks about police bias. As somebody who represents a district just east of Oakland, when there was a lot of problems in Oakland, a lot of Black Lives Matter started there. And as a response to historical inequality, if you ask me, and as a white male of somewhat privilege, I feel like what's wrong with diversity? I actually embrace it. I think it's better for the country. So I want to talk about one particular population that's dear to my heart, briefly, the disabled community. The Medicaid cuts are going to devastate them. 3 prominent Republican presidents led legislation, Nixon, Reagan, and Gerald Ford. We've talked in this committee about IDEA that Gerald Ford signed, the Individuals with Disability Education Act, to make sure that there was accessibility. So when you talk about diversity, inequality, and equity. What about the disabled community? Can you speak to what's happening to them? And I'm wrapping up my time, so you'll have to be succinct.
Yeah, I will just simply say for the record that services and offices for students with disabilities are indeed a part of what we call DEI programs and services at colleges and universities. So as those things are eliminated, the wellness and safety of those students is placed at risk.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. I'd like to now recognize my friend from California, Ms. Conley.